Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, September 21, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. One of the things that we're, amongst others, but one of them is because of our ego minds, being right, is being right, can be the hardest ego trip to get off of. That's a tough one, because we want to be right about things, and you get that feeling, oh, that's wrong, and you're not too happy about it, and then you feel good when it's right, and that's an ego trip. And yet it causes major amounts of suffering, and that's why we get, we get disappointed because we're wrong, or we're excited because we're right in certain ways. Everybody's different. And then, if the ego believes it is wrong about any one little thing, it starts feeling insecure. This is why a lot of people feel insecure. That you basically could be wrong about everything in your entire life. And whatever the mind believes is true always becomes our reality in that moment. The colored lens we perceive our world with today becomes how the world tends to appear for us tomorrow. If everyone around you, from birth to death, says that life is this hard, painful, unfair experience, and then you believe them, then how will any of us ever learn how to relax, let go, trust, and enjoy living in this amazing universe? And how many of us, it's like we think we must fight to get what we want in this life. We end up manifesting a very serious, challenging ride. And to experience love, entertainment, and freedom, we must choose to step over our egos and be open to a completely new experience of this life, or life in general, in each moment. And our inner and outer world is one massive playground. So we choose how to be free, learn how to be free, and have fun within our lives. Think of each new day as your chance to step on a very interesting and comical life stage. Now you can choose any hat to wear, and lens to see through, or a fascinating role you desire to play. Because remember, ultimately, every one of us are the masters and commanders of our lives. It's not happenstance. It's not something else bringing it in. It's us. And a lot of people, you imagine this, a lot of people they have no clue. They don't know. And how many of us will let go of doing and practice simply being? You see how we've been trained as a civilization, as a species, we've been trained that you've got to do all the time. You've got to be doing. And then we feel if we aren't doing, depending on certain circumstances, we feel like we're not productive. And then guilt comes in. This is all ego mind. And then uncomfortableness. It has become on this planet abnormal for people to just relax. Sit still. Be silent and alone. Doaholics have become the societal norm. Many people avoid meditation because they think it's boring. And they don't have time for it. There's all kinds of things, the reasons. And they feel they have failed at it. Trying to quit their mind after a few random attempts. But when we realize that all of our suffering, chaos, and illness in this life is caused by our inability to quiet the mind. We will spend more time practicing being present if we will spend more time practicing being present and less invested in doing something, thinking it will take us somewhere better than being here. I know this is a complete dump and reprogramming of ourselves. And it is a choice. It's not like, someone's going to say, you got to do this. You decide. And if you don't have the motivation to experience or gain the knowledge, and that's why you hear me say it's all about you. And I emphasize, it's not ego mind all about you. It's heart mind all about you. Eventually, with enough time spent practicing being present, this is what we do in this meditation. It's one of the main purposes of it. It's to train us so that we practice enough where this is where we want to be. It's our priority to be in the now, to be still, to do nothing, just be. Focused on your breath rising and falling, relaxing into your body. And by doing this, eventually, we will discover our real infinite nature inside. We realize we are spiritual beings and have everything we're looking for and so much more. The greatest mystics in our past all discovered enlightenment when they were simply being quiet, relaxed, fully in the here and now. When their big awakening happened, so to speak, they weren't trying to do anything. This is the great mystery of life. A mastery of the mind is by far the greatest achievement mankind can ever have. It is the ultimate direction and comprehension for this civilization. The experience of being here now, feeling one with the infinite, all-powerful and omniscient universal God force is enough. It is empowering, highly enlightening to redefine all those old definitions of what it means to get somewhere special in your life. You really do, when you're in the now and you're just being and you're watching, see, you're not. We all judge ourselves, we judge other things and people. It's part of our programming through the ego mind. But being free from our family's unconscious myths and society's deep, ignorant programming. Do you ever reflect on your childhood, when you were a child. And I've done this through the years on and off. What was communicated to you about enlightenment, being, who and what you are in those bodies? Anything? Did anybody have a clue what enlightenment was to how to experience an enlightened state of bliss? Any of us? We're not talking about religion at all. Did anyone ever show us how to open our chakras, meditate, or communicate with God? Most likely, everyone around you was more or less spiritually lost, and then telling you what they believed would make you happy, loved, and successful in life. They wanted the best for you, yet ended up communicating to you how to be unhappy, unenlightened through their actions, belief system, and behavior. Now you choose to go back and think about your childhood. What do you remember? What was a typical standard story you were told, or we were all told in certain ways, that made you feel like a failure, isolated, unloved, or a sense of separation? What belief system did you inherit from your family that created massive limits on how you feel about yourself and life today? You may have heard some messages like, oh boy, we've heard, you need an education to become somebody. There just isn't enough time for that. We can't afford that. You cannot be, do, or have XYZ. You're just too much of a blah, blah, blah. And, we were all very gullible as children. Yet we did not become identified. If we did not become identified with our family's limiting belief system, we may not be here. If we didn't think like they did, they might have stopped feeding us and pushed us out of the tribe. We needed to think small, do what we were told, obey the one in charge in order to remain accepted, loved, and alive. From the moment we were birthed, we all received the idea that this unenlightened state of life was the norm. You may have seen all the insane world problems on the nightly TV news and thought that this was how the entire world operated. And mass suffering was just the way things were. And as we became teenagers, we either rebelled or became assimilated into the unenlightenment system. That's what this is, guys. We here on this planet live in an unenlightened system. And we fell deeper into the story of separation. And so the more we accepted or rebelled from our community, the greater our feelings of lack, isolation, and struggle grew inside. Being surrounded by unenlightened people was an enormous lose-lose situation. And to make matters worse, we were forced to attend some jail-like education system which worked about 3% of our brain's potentiality. and was designed to churn out brilliant, creative kids through a social formatting grinder so they became hard workers for the system. We were taught wonderful lies that everyone believed to be true. Like how a human life expectancy should be 75 to 100 years old, when really our DNA can last at least 300 years, 1,500 years, 3,000 years. We were told that we would have to work really, really, really hard to have a home, limited energy, resources, food, knowledge, and power. We were never taught to rebel against authority, think freely, independently, or even consider the possibility of becoming spiritually enlightened. The school system made it illegal to teach children how to find a deep inner connection with the infinite source. It was not important to learn how to meditate, heal your body through your breath, how to make tantric love, master your mind through total quietness and stillness, enjoy all your emotions, know the infinite truth of who we are, or how to achieve absolute inner freedom and bliss. The society all around us is still hypnotizing adults and their children to believe that success is all about achieving a higher level of status, money, and career. Our poor education system is still in its infancy and simply has never had a large dose of enlightenment, so it doesn't know any better. There are many awakened beings in this world today who know the truth, that real success in this life is defined by how liberated, spiritually rich, loving, and enlightened you are as a human being. The world is slowly waking up, one being at a time. People are beginning to see that happiness is not something you can attain from striving to achieve the right income, status, career, marriage, or diploma. Striving to reach these things will only distract you from walking your spiritual path and discover the most rewarding life experience of them all. Remember, whatever limited ideas that you received from your family or school system were their limitations and not yours. When you stop and give back those beliefs, you can reclaim your spiritual freedom again within yourself. The limiting beliefs handed down from our families run deep in our blood. And it will take every ounce of awareness inside you to see them. Freedom will occur when they are fully seen, felt into, and released from your mental, emotional body, as well as your subconscious mind. We must choose to forgive all these people of their unenlightened programming if we are ever to be fully free. It's all karmic, and nobody is to blame. They simply were not taught by their parents how to live in a constant state of wonder and amazement in their lives while doing daily tasks like changing diapers, cutting the grass, going to work, paying their bills. When we forgive them and see how they were not raised by fully self-realized, self-actualized enlightened beings, We can easily forgive ourselves for the limiting beliefs and negative feelings about ourselves that we inherited. We can choose to be outrageous and stop hiding from our spiritual power in some safe little fishbowl. We can often hide from our life mission and spiritual purpose in our mind. Thoughts are safe, while real life experiences out there seem dangerous, scary, and unsafe. Life is inherently insecure because death is always potentially around the next corner. We might find it easier to not take risks and go for our big dreams in life for fear of getting hurt or lost in the wild ocean. When we only choose to stay safe, comfy, basically dead, inside our little comfortable fishbowls of old habits, we only do things that once gave a sense of confidence and security and stop growing completely. This life is this beautiful natural chaos with a divine cosmic structure. Our lives are this daily adventurous roller coaster ride that we need to learn how to enjoy. Life is meant to be fun because none of us know exactly how things will turn out. You won't know until the last second. You will respond to what someone says or how you'll make the most important decision you need to make. Each experience in your life is here for your spiritual growth. Each boring, exciting, or normal experience is meant to expand you, help you see and feel the entire ocean all around you now. And yes, jump out of your safe little fishbowl and swim in the ocean of existence. It's easy to do. It's easy to do. Okay? Remember, you're the drop. And you let people look at the drop. Well, that's nothing. That's just a drop. Look at that big ocean now. That's something. But then you come into the realization and you begin to comprehend, even though you're just a little drop, you contain the entire essence of that ocean. And when you drop into that ocean, you become the ocean. So what do you simply stop thinking about your life and actually start enjoying the one you're living, feeling, and breathing in now. Many of us, fear's a thought. You remind yourself of that. We all have them. Little, teeny, average, sometimes really big. But when you stop for a moment, step outside of yourself, leave the mind and ego alone, you'll realize that, wait a minute, this is a thought. That's all it is. Now, I can choose to give it power. And I can bring it to my reality and then experience it. This is what most of us do anyway. Or I comprehend that it is just a thought. That's all it is. And I can allow it to pass through me. Or I can allow it to stick to me. The less fear we are holding in this body that we're in, the more we can relax and open ourselves up to experiencing a more expansive, enlightened state of consciousness. All fears are simply emotionally contracted thoughts invented by a mind that still believes it is disconnected from the source. One might say, well then how the heck do I master my fear? To transcend any fear, you would first discover what you are deeply afraid of. You can access any fear by opening yourself up to another being intimately in conversation, letting the other peer into you. Soon you'll be able to see deeper into yourself and understand exactly what you are running from in your life. And once you know what you are running away from, run towards it and welcome it into your heart with a huge embrace. This direction will dissolve any fear instantly. And in time, it will be completely released from your body. The more practice you have in embracing your fears, the easier it becomes to find total relaxation, so that you can access your full spiritual connection within your consciousness. You ever notice that in this society, which is the human psyche, and how we've been taught and trained through generations, even children, by the parents and influences, constantly trying to continuously improve or fix ourselves. You ever notice that? Where does that come from? Well, it's the programming that we receive, and it's also our ego mind, because it's never satisfied. To some, this may seem contradictory, yet it's actually complementary. How often do you find yourself trying to replace your negative thoughts and feelings with positive ones? There's a lot of people who do that a lot. How much of your life has been spent trying to heal yourself or your mind? Is all the effort and energy you're putting into improving you actually making you relax into the experience that you are already divine, already sacred, deeply lovable, and already connected to the God source? We see it as observers. The result from continuously fixing, improving, and healing yourself is perpetuating the feeling of, I am not okay exactly as I am. And any unconscious self-improvement habit is just another egoic dis-ease. The real problem is not what it appears to be. Go to the root of the matter, which is this dualistic mind, and uproot the entire I am broken and need to be fixed emotional program. Realize that who you are is neither these negative or positive thoughts, yet the consciousness and awareness behind them. And only through pure awareness will any of us be able to stop the habit of trying to change, fix, and improve ourselves, and instead surrender deeply into the spiritual sacred core of our being, where self-realization is. We all have a lot of noise. I'm sure we all agree to a certain extent. We have a lot of mind noise. Some people will contemplate they'll go way out somewhere, disconnect from society, phones. A lot of authors throughout the ages would seek silence away from it all so they could find their motivation or their inspiration. Other people just decide that they're going to check out for a while. They aren't going to be on the phone. They aren't going to be doing this. They're going to be doing that, and spend time with themselves. This mind that we have is a limited conglomeration of ideas and beliefs about who we think we are and what reality is. It behaves much like a computer that is unaware of itself and just spits out information that was programmed into it. The mind is like a machine, so it is not conscious. And the mind is a horrible master and a wonderful servant. We need to train the mind so that we can use it instead of being used by it. It cannot remain in the present moment. It must keep moving with ideas that engage the past and future to remain in control of you. And when we quiet the mind, we regain control of it. The more we can practice paying attention to the stillness and silence that is behind the chattering mind, the less power the mind has over you, and the less you'll get trapped in your limited ego or identity. Now, a lot of people maybe don't know this or don't look at it, but the word E.G.O is really just an acronym for excluding God's omnipresence. Ego. Excluding God's omnipresence. Through the constant awareness of our ego, we can bypass the mind and access this omnipresent divine spiritual energy that's inside all of us. We can discover our natural enlightened state. We become aligned with the bigger truth that we already are infinite spiritual beings who have been given the gift of a limited physical human expression with illusionary challenges that make us grow. And when the mind is quiet, we truly can enjoy this divine play and find real peace with the entire dynamic. We find full acceptance that we are both the ego and spirit and know all is perfect as it is. A tough one for all of us, I believe it is. It isn't lickety-split and slippery easy. Releasing all attachments and aversions to everyone and everything. All of it. As humans, we tend to get attached to or avoid certain thoughts and feelings we believe will make us happy or unhappy. We get into habits of resisting this life, trying to control our experiences so that we get what we think will only bring us joy and avoid what makes us unhappy. We even create these patterns based on what others say, feel, and believe and ignore our own inner voice and connection. This attachment and avoidance habit manifests because deep down we feel disconnected from our spiritual source. We're still trying to find some form of security by controlling our reality. And when we were young, when we were all young, we saw others avoiding what is painful, remember? And remaining attached to what is pleasurable. And believe this is how it should be done. The enlightened state shows up when we listen to our heart and stop being attached to or avoiding anything. When we understand that this life is like a pendulum designed to swing and give us both experiences of pain and pleasure. We can see, once we know that, we can transcend them both. By accepting this natural pendulum swing, we become free from being the one who always needs to be in control and running the show. Pain and suffering are just the universe's way of telling us to let go and trust the flow. The purpose of feeling pain is not to create more suffering, yet for you to wake up and create an immediate new life change. This change is necessary for you to evolve and eventually drop all identity with your ego trip so you can return to your spiritual source. And by allowing yourself to let go of your mind's attachments and aversions, you can genuinely enjoy your life again. You then start energetically communicating to this universe that you are abundant, thankful, happy, beautiful, and free. This experience shows you to expand in consciousness and deepen your correction, your connection to your infinite source inside. And being free from the illusion that you're separate from the infinite source of love, energy, and connection. Feeling separate and disconnected from our universe, what do you think that is? Which most on this planet are experiencing. It's the unenlightened state. We become enlightened when we are continuously aware how deeply and intimately connected we already are. And the illusion of separation is not an accident. It is needed so that coming spiritually home is that much more amazing. The polarization and separation, unification, breeds a truly juicy, alive, and incredible experience of life. And when we become enlightened, we will see the full illusion and know how to stop manifesting another experience of loss, failure, or separation again. See, this illusion that we are not connected to the divine is karmic. It stems from lifetimes of our mind's attachment and avoidance of limiting ideas of who and what we think we are. Once we untangle ourselves from our fun, sticky karmic mess, we will remember that we were always one energy, one sea of consciousness, and always connected with our source. All experiences of suffering simply drop away when we pay closer attention to who we truly are. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out.
Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, focused on your breath rising and falling, and relaxed into your body. The greatest game that any of us will play is our lives. Life is a game, and you're already dressed up as one of the ultimate players in it. If you start believing in this masquerade, thinking you're just a separate somebody who's lacking love, money, connection, then your game of life becomes overly serious and you stop having fun with it all. Realize that you are making up the rules as you go. And make a new rule that you can choose to laugh at your problems, frolic in the sunshine, and get to know the divine God source that lives inside you. You can stop all the crazy mind chatter instantly and know yourself as pure, unbounded consciousness. Pure consciousness. That's what we are. You are a brilliant ball of unlimited creative energy who can invent any approach you want to in this game. Choose one that is filled with fun, lightness, and laughter, and you'll love the results 10 years down the road. Today's your day to discover how you really play again. Best of all, you have a large variety of very interesting players out in the world who are eager to join in the fun with you. We're all excited to see what your next move is, and you cannot make a mistake in this magical infinite playground. Step outside your normal boundaries and make today an amazing day that you'll always remember. And once you decide to pierce through all your mind's illusions of what is right and wrong, you will start playing your best and enjoy this outrageous spiritual adventure to the max. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. And we'll return here Sunday, September 21, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening out there or in here. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.